Hello, I'm Dave Coots, an IBM Distinguished Engineer and the Industrial Sector CTO in our Systems and Technology Group. I'm speaking to you from PTC Live in Anaheim, California, and I'm here to share a solution announcement that was jointly made between IBM, PTC, Citrix, and NVIDIA, an announcement about the availability of PTC Creo in a centralized, virtualized computing environment. Joining me, I have an IBM colleague, Yatish Usarika, a technical consultant in our STG ISV Industry Solutions Enablement team, and Yatish has been the lead solutions integrator. I also have Milan Divel, our senior product manager from the NVIDIA Grid organization and the Grid offering, and Derek Thorsland, the director of product management, Citrix HDX Technologies. To introduce the solution, I want to talk about some of the value propositions of this solution. The first is the characteristics. I briefly mentioned that, and it's around remote access to centralized resources. The second is this is a solution that has value to both engineering and IT. On the engineering side, it's really about enhanced flexibility, being able to access your Creo environment from pretty much anywhere, anytime, any place, and we'll talk about the devices that you can do that with. It's around improved security and intellectual property protection. Because this is a centralized solution, the data is residing securely back in the data center. We are not moving data out to the client device. We are using the client device to interact with all of the previously rich client and all of the back-end data center resources. It's also about user preference of devices. What's the device? We're a mobile environment. And each of us tends to take a device with us no matter where we go, from a smartphone to some type of pad or laptop. And it's about how do you use that device now to interact with this environment for much greater flexibility. It's also about access to greater amounts of computing resource. Because this is centralized, you're no longer limited to just your desk-side workstation, CPU cycles, and memory and network capability, but you're now deploying and taking advantage of larger capability back in the data center. From an IT perspective, there are additional value propositions. This is about ease of deployment. It's about standardizing your deployment images and your resources and then rolling that out to your users based on assigning the resources back in the data center. It's about improving the improved IT administration of this environment. Ease of security, improved IT administration. Easing the security, easing the management, making data backup and archival much simpler than having to deal with a distributed desktop environment. And it's about that overall enhancing the data management that I just mentioned. To start off, I'd like to introduce Derek Thorsland, since Derek represents the ability for us to connect to this back-end environment. And I'd like to bring Derek in to speak about the Citrix piece of this solution.
Thank you, David. There are several key Citrix technologies that have helped to make this solution viable. First of all, our Zen Server hypervisor, which was the first hypervisor on the market to provide direct GPU access or GPU pass-through. This is critical for the level of performance needed for high-end professional graphics apps like Creo Parametric. Then on top of that, we have Zen Desktop, which is our solution for delivering Windows applications that are actually running in the data center, but we send the screen images over the wire, over HDX and our IC protocol. This protocol is very effective and features deep compression so that even users on a long-haul network connection get a very responsive user experience. Furthermore, we've integrated HDX with the NVIDIA Grid technology, and we're the first vendor to do that, utilizing Grid to achieve a higher frame rate and a better and more responsive user experience. Finally, at the other end of the wire, on the user device, we have our Citrix receiver. This receiver is a lightweight application that allows users to access Windows applications hosted in the data center, whether they're on a Windows PC or a Mac or a Linux thin client or an iPad or an Android device, really any device anywhere.
So I'd like to then go from Derek to Yatish to talk about how Yatish set up this environment to support the centralization of Creo capability.
Thanks, Dave. Coming to the hardware part of the solution, what PTC Creo has been certified in a virtualization environment. It is an IBM iDataplex server, which is DX360M4 with 2 Grid K2 cards. So, coming to the software stack of it, we have Zen Server 6.1 installed on it. On top of that, Zen Desktop 5.6 FP1, which is used to actually virtualize these desktops and support it remotely. So on the client side, as Derek was explaining, so we have Citrix receiver for all the popular platforms like Mac, even the iOS, Linux, and Windows Mobile, where you just need to install the Citrix receiver and able to connect to the virtual servers what we have in the data center. So it's very lightweight receiver that helps you access these desktops remotely and launch the VMs and use it like you have it in your local workstation.
Thanks, Yatish. Anything else?
I think we have noticed very encouraging performances so far, so we are looking forward to work with more and more specific use cases to observe much more data on it.
Great, thanks, Yatish. Now I'd like to turn it back over to Milan to describe the video performance of this solution and show us an example.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So, as was mentioned, there are multiple pieces to the solution. First, we talked about the IBM piece. Then Derek walked us through the Citrix portion of it. And the final piece of it is the NVIDIA graphics cards essentially included in the solution. So here we're showcasing NVIDIA Grid K2s. This is a special server-side graphics card which has 2 high-end Kepler K5000 cards in it and can deliver kind of designer-grade performance. Just to make sure that we're not kind of only talking about this, I will soon show you a quick example of a Creo session actually remoted from NVIDIA's headquarters in Santa Clara down here to Anaheim and show you the great performance. Just about to add one more little thing here. Just 2 weeks ago, we announced some special technology called vGPU. This also gives you the ability to slice up or virtualize these 2 high-end GPUs into 8 pieces. So basically, on one Grid K2, you can host now up to 2 times 8, 16 users, and giving them graphics performance. Let's turn over and take a look at the remoted PTC Creo session. Here you can see essentially the Citrix or Zen desktop or running PTC Creo running in Zen desktop, and you can see very smoothly. I have turned on here, all the shaded. Essentially, it's very smooth. I mean, in fact, I had multiple pro users of Creo here at our booth, and so they couldn't distinguish essentially the difference between this session and a local workstation. Another very demanding feature here is actually this way of slicing through this WorldCar model, and you can see it's very smooth, giving you just like local performance, and this showcases the power of this kind of solution and the power of this partnership between IBM, Citrix, NVIDIA, and PTC.
Thank you, Milan. For everybody listening, I hope you've heard and we hope we generated some interest in this solution capability to access Creo remotely, to get to that graphic computing power with NVIDIA, to leverage the session capability and the virtualization capability of Citrix, and then supported by the underlying the IBM IT infrastructure, so you can experience working with both Creo and with Windchill in a very new, powerful way to help you with some of your user access and other issues into a more geocentric operating environment. So thank you for listening today, and